like to tell you about my mom and my dad because my mom and my dad were really my first introduction to life insurance, although I really never realized the impact of life insurance until I reflected on what myself and my family went through as we grew up as a family. My mom and dad both were involved in the World War II. They were World War II veterans. They did go to war. They survived the war. And as I reflect on them having to go through war and then myself and my brothers being born soon thereafter, I never really realized how fortunate this generation, that baby boom generation, was in not having to experience war. We thank those who went through the war, my mom and my dad, and giving us our freedom. Soon after mom and dad came home from the war, they were married, established roots in Toronto where they began their family. I was the first grandchild from both my mom's side and my dad's side, and certainly got plenty of attention, and what I was told, I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. Mom and Dad grew up and established themselves back in Toronto, in Ontario, and there were plenty of jobs back then. They both came from a strong-rooted family, so it was nice to have family around. Dad started in sales and remained in sales his entire career, and it's possible it's why I've remained in sales for most of my career as well. The freedom and flexibility, I suppose. My parents later on added 3 more brothers to the family, and they settled with the 4 boys, but have to believe Mom certainly wanted a daughter at one point. But there we were, the 4 of us boys, growing up together. My dad had been a very successful businessman for all of his life, on the road for a good part of each week, the traveling salesman, I suppose. I never really understood how they managed or were able to manage both a Toronto home and a cottage north of the city on just a single income. However, we certainly enjoyed the fruits of his labor. One day when I was 18 and my mom was driving me to my summer job on Center Island in Toronto, she said she was worried about my dad, and he normally would call in the evening to talk about the day. He hadn't called, and it wasn't like him. Later on in that day, I received that phone call that my dad had passed away in his sleep at a hotel on one of his business trips. I rushed back home to be with my mom and my younger brothers, who were 17, 12, and 9 at the time. My dad was really young, at the age of 50. However, from that day on, it was my mom who took the leadership and raised us and educated us, trying to be the leader in our home. She still maintained the 2 homes, the cottage and the home in Toronto. Our standard of living never really wavered. My dad had the foresight to buy life insurance, so if anything happened to him, the family would be okay. And we were okay, maintaining our lifestyle, private school for my brother, cottage life. Life simply went on. It didn't waver too much. Mom did take on a career years later as we grew and were never really around the house that much during the day. Up until today and up until getting into the life insurance business, I am still truly blessed with the sweet memories I had of my dad, and truly grateful for Dad's final gift to us. Because of the planning my father did, our family was able to be taken care of for life. You never imagine how life insurance will impact you until life insurance is what it represents, the life that was the life of my father. I still have amazing memories of my dad as I was the oldest son. We had an incredible bond. They mean that much more to us and me as we continue to run our lives with the support of the life insurance that my dad put in place. My dad had wisdom, my dad had vision as he put that life insurance in place for my mom and his 4 boys. It made impact.